Coming up on 5 Minute News. President Biden says he's running for re-election because democracy is at stake. Report shows Trump wrote to-do lists on classified documents. And plane leaves Doha with 5 Americans freed by Iran. It's Tuesday, September 19. I'm Anthony Davis. US President Joe Biden, who is raising money for his re-election campaign while visiting New York for meetings with world leaders, acknowledged concerns about his age yesterday, but said he was running because democracy was still at stake. A lot of people seemed focused on my age. Well, I get it, believe me. I know better than anyone, 80-year-old Biden told supporters at a fundraiser on Monday evening. I'm running because democracy is at stake, Biden said, and let there be no question, Donald Trump and his MAGA Republicans are determined to destroy American democracy, and I will always defend, protect, and fight for our democracy. Biden will address the United Nations General Assembly today and is expected to press leaders to continue to support Ukraine in the war with Russia. The president has sought to rally the world to stand up to Russian President Vladimir Putin. Meanwhile, Donald Trump was quoted in an interview on Sunday that he got along well with Vladimir Putin, while saying he had also been hard on Russia as president. I will not side with dictators like Putin, said Biden. Maybe Trump and his MAGA friends can bow down, but I won't. The twice impeached, 4 times indicted, disgraced former President Donald Trump has denied wrongdoing after a report on Monday said that one of his longtime assistants told federal investigators he repeatedly wrote to-do lists for her on documents from the White House marked classified. The aide, Molly Michael, told investigators that more than once she got requests or tasks from Trump written on the back of note cards that she later recognized as sensitive White House materials. The note cards had visible classification markings used to brief Trump while he was still in office about phone calls with foreign leaders or other international matters. Michael became Trump's executive assistant in the White House in 2018 and continued to work for him when he left office. She resigned last year in the wake of Trump's alleged refusal to comply with federal requests. Trump, the frontrunner for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination, has been charged along with 2 aides with illegally storing troves of classified documents at his personal residence and lying to federal investigators who sought to retrieve them. Trump was charged in an indictment in June with criminal counts, including violations of the Espionage Act, conspiracy to obstruct justice, and making false statements to investigators. Trump is also under separate indictments in Washington, D.C. and Georgia over his efforts to reverse his 2020 election loss, and in New York over a hush money payment he paid to a porn star. A US-bound plane carrying 5 Americans freed by Iran left Doha on Monday as part of a prisoner swap for 5 Iranians held in the United States and the transfer of $6 billion in Iranian funds, marking a rare deal between the longtime antagonists. Today, 5 innocent Americans who were imprisoned in Iran are finally coming home, Joe Biden said in a statement shortly before the U.S. detainees descended the stairs of a Qatari jet in Doha to be embraced by U.S. diplomats. The White House confirmed a plane carrying the 5, along with 2 U.S. family members who left Tehran with them earlier, was en route to the United States, where they were to be offered medical treatment by the U.S. military as they adjust to freedom. Separately, Iran's state-owned Press TV said the 5 Iranians held by the United States and charged with committing crimes had been freed, an apparent reference to their being granted clemency and that 2 of them had landed in Tehran. The other 3 are not expected to return to Iran. This was purely a humanitarian action, Iranian President Ebrahim Raisi said after arriving in New York for the annual UN General Assembly. It can certainly be a step based upon which in the future other humanitarian actions can be taken. It was unclear whether the exchange might bring progress on the many issues that divide the two nations, including Iran's nuclear program, its support for regional Shiite militias, and the presence of US troops in the Gulf and US sanctions on Iran. Relations between the US and Iran, adversaries for more than 40 years, have been especially bitter since disgraced former President Trump in 2018 reneged on a deal to curb Iran's nuclear program and reimposed US sanctions. Washington suspects the program may aim to develop nuclear weapons, an ambition Tehran denies that could threaten Israel or US Gulf Arab allies. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken left the door open to diplomacy on the nuclear file, which he described as perhaps the number one issue of concern, but suggested nothing was imminent. 5 Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.